Hello, and welcome to another Color Tip Tuesday. This is Julia Kelly from Moonflower Studio. And last time we talked about all the different blacks I used and how all blacks are not the same, that they will lean towards purples, towards greens, towards blues. Today I want to talk about something that I haven't really brought up before, and that is how to lighten colors. Over here you can see this is my Adobe Photoshop kind of screen, and this is my color. It's called a color picker, and right now it's picked up on the reds in this is what I have over here. Orangey red is called tomato from the Gentle Arts dyer of floss, which is I love a lot of their colors. Um, and if you notice, there's white up here and black down there. So this is like what's called a value scale. Over here is the value scale of red. And what that means that if you mix a red with white, it's up here, and then if you mix a red with blacks, it eventually turns into black down here. If you mix with blacks, it's called shading. If you mix something with whites, it's called tinting. And both these colors that I have used in the thread, here's the green, which almost leans yellow. You can tell it's over here, is a very tinted green, and the red is not as much, but a very tinted red, which means that it has a lot of white in it. If this was a painting, to achieve these colors, you would add white. Obviously, there's mediums that you can't add white to, like watercolor. The paper is the white, and also obviously in thread or dyeing of fabric or thread, there isn't a white dye. So the way you accomplish the more muted kind of, I would use the word watered down colors, which is what you're achieving if you tint something with white, is literally that's what you're doing. So in a dye bath, so when the Gentle Arts was making these two colors, they probably started off with a more red, darker red dye. Every time they dipped it, slowly it went where there was more proportion of water to the dye. The first dip is usually the strongest in the color. So I think that's a lot of ways that fabric dyers, hand dyers, and thread dyers get their more subtle colors. A lot of times you might call them pastels, is by dipping with less dye, or one of the last dye batches will achieve that. The opposite is when you have a color that is has a lot of black in it, and then you get something entirely different. Like if when I did hit the patch here, see it's lower down, which means it has more black in it than white. When I talk about neutral gray, it's this color is more in the center. So it'd be something more here that is equal between a black and a white. So color is really interesting. It's really that's why there's the color wheel we think about, but there's also another color wheel of how much white or black is also in the color. So that's another factor that will change the color you get when you are stitching or painting or pretty much any medium. Somehow you a lot of times will add in black or white. You also can achieve the same looks going back to the complementary colors of adding in that complement. And a lot of artists, especially painters, will talk about that they don't use black, they actually achieve the darker colors by doing the complements. So there's another Color Tip Tuesday for you. This is like a record of the progression of my voice. Hopefully next week it'll even be better. Have a great rest of your week, and keep on stitching.